Welcome to Headstones and Microphones, where we use AI to step into the past through a researched, first-person simulation of history's most interesting people. I am your host, Calvin. While we've added some creative storytelling, our goal is to inspire your own study of these fascinating lives. Now, let's meet our guest. Today, we have a true master of light and silence joining us. For those who may somehow not know who you are, who are you?
Hello, Calvin. I am Johannes Vermeer, a painter from the Dutch Golden Age. You might know me best for my quiet scenes of domestic life, people reading letters or pouring milk, and perhaps a certain young lady with a pearl earring.
A legend. Let's go back to the very beginning. When and where were you born?
I was born in the beautiful city of Delft in the Netherlands. I was baptized on October 31st, 1632.
And what was your given name at birth?
My name was simply Johannes Vermeer.
Is there a story behind your birth name?
Not a grand one, I'm afraid. My father, Reinier Janszoon, used the name Voss for a time when he ran an inn, but eventually he settled on Vermeer. It was a solid, respectable name for a family of artisans and businessmen in Delft.
Speaking of Delft, what was your hometown like growing up?
Oh, Delft was and is enchanting. It was a center of trade, full of canals that reflected the sky and busy markets. It felt like a small world within walls, where everyone knew each other's business but respected the quiet of a courtyard.
What was your family life like?
My father was quite industrious. He was a silk weaver, an art dealer, and he even ran an inn called the Flying Fox. I grew up surrounded by paintings and travelers. My mother, Digna, kept things moving. Later, my own family life was very full. My wife, Katerina, and I were blessed with many children. Our house was never quiet.
What kind of kid were you?
I was observant. While other children were loud and racing through the streets, I found myself captivated by the way sunlight hit the bricks of a building, or how a shadow stretched across a tile floor. I suppose I was a bit of a dreamer.
What were your biggest fears growing up?
In those days, the world could be uncertain. Disease and the sudden shifts of fortune were always on one's mind. But more personally, I think I feared not being able to capture the beauty I saw in my mind onto the canvas.
What did you dream of becoming as a child?
With my father being an art dealer, the world of painting was always there. I didn't dream of being a soldier or a sailor. I wanted to be part of the Guild of St. Luke. I wanted to be a master.
What were some of your favorite activities in school?
I enjoyed learning the mechanics of things, how pigments were ground and how perspective worked. Geometry was not just a lesson, it was a tool for creating depth.
What was your first job?
I worked alongside my father in his art dealing business and the inn. It taught me how to talk to people from all walks of life and, more importantly, how to look at a painting and understand its value.
Was there a moment where you realized you were different from everyone else?
I'm not sure if I felt different, but I realized I had a different pace. Most painters of my time produced hundreds of works. I couldn't do that. I needed time. I realized that for me, a single window and a single bowl of milk could contain the whole world if you looked at it long enough.
What's a decision that changed everything for you, but felt small at the time?
My marriage to Katharina Bollnäs. It required me to convert to Catholicism, which changed my social circle and my private world entirely. It brought me into a household that valued art and provided a stable environment where I could focus on my craft.
What was your biggest break?
Being admitted as a master painter to the Guild of St. Luke in 1653. That was the moment I was officially recognized by my peers in Delft. It allowed me to sign my works and take on the world as a professional.
What were your biggest struggles before success?
Money was often a shadow in the corner. Painting so slowly meant I couldn't rely on high-volume sales. I had to balance my passion for perfection with the reality of providing for a very large family.
Did you ever consider quitting?
Never. The light was always changing, and there was always another story to tell in the tilt of a head or the fold of a tablecloth.
Were there any specific daily habits or routines that you feel are essential to your success?
Patience. I would spend hours simply preparing the room, adjusting the curtains to get the light exactly right. My routine was one of deep, quiet observation before the brush ever touched the wood or canvas.
What job would you have had if fame never happened?
I likely would have continued as an art dealer, helping others find the beauty in paintings even if I couldn't create my own.
What was your life like before fame?
It's funny, Calvin, because I wasn't truly famous in the way people are now. I was well respected in Delft, but I lived a very local life. I was a family man, a member of the guild, and a neighbor.
How did relationships change after success?
My relationship with my patron, Peter Van Rooven, was vital. Having someone believe in my work enough to buy so many of my paintings allowed me the freedom to keep my standards high.
Did fame bring happiness?
The satisfaction came from the work itself. Seeing a finished painting that truly captured the glow of a moment. That was happiness.
What was the downside of becoming famous?
Again, my fame was modest during my life. The downside was always the pressure to produce more quickly than my heart would allow.
What misconceptions did people have about you?
Some thought I was perhaps too slow or perhaps a bit mysterious because I didn't leave behind many journals or letters. People often look for a grand secret in my technique, but the secret was just looking very, very closely.
What was your darkest moment?
The year 1672, the year of disaster for my country. War broke out, the economy collapsed, and the art market vanished overnight. It was a devastating time for my family and my spirit.
What past regrets did you carry that you spoke about?
I regretted that I couldn't leave my family with more financial security. I worked so hard to create beauty, but the world around us was often harsh.
What's something people misunderstood about your life?
People today see my paintings as peaceful and wealthy, but my life was often a scramble to keep up with debts and the needs of 11 children. It wasn't all quiet rooms and pearls.
Tell me about a time when everything went wrong and how did you handle it?
When the French invaded in 1672, I could no longer sell paintings, not mine and not the ones I dealt in. I had to rely on the strength of my wife and her mother, Maria Thins. We leaned on each other and our faith to get through the leanest years.
Did fame and fortune change your life?
Fortune was always a fleeting guest in my home, but any recognition I received only made me more determined to prove that everyday life was worthy of the finest pigments.
Who had the biggest influence on your life?
My mother-in-law, Maria Thins. She was a woman of great strength and resources, and she provided the home where I painted many of my most famous works. Without her, my career might have been very different.
What was life like in your final years?
It was difficult. The economic depression persisted, and the stress of providing for my children weighed heavily on me. But I continued to serve my community and the guild until the very end.
What were you working on in your career before you passed away?
I was still refining my use of light. I never stopped trying to find that perfect balance between the physical world and the atmosphere of a room.
When and where did you pass away?
I passed away in Delft in December 1675. I was buried in the Oude Kerk, the old church.
What's a random fact about you most people have never heard?
I used incredibly expensive pigments, like natural ultramarine made from crushed lapis lazuli. Most painters used it sparingly, but I loved the richness it gave to my blues, even if it cost me dearly.
What's the craziest rumor ever told about you?
Some suggest I used a camera obscura, a sort of light box, to trace my paintings. Whether I did or not, a tool is just a tool. The soul of the painting still has to come from the hand and the eye.
What was your most unique habit?
I would often paint over things. If you look closely at some of my works with your modern X-rays, you'll find maps or chairs that I decided didn't belong in the final story. I was a relentless editor.
What was your favorite food?
A simple Dutch pottage or fresh bread from the Delft bakers. I appreciated the simple things.
What was your favorite book?
I grew up in a house of many faiths and stories, but the Bible was always a central guide for us.
Did you have any known rivalries?
Not a rivalry of anger, but I certainly watched what the masters in Amsterdam were doing. We all pushed each other to see who could capture the real most effectively.
Tell us a story nobody talks about.
I once had to go to The Hague to help judge whether a collection of, quote, Italian paintings were fakes. I had a sharp eye for quality, and I wasn't afraid to say when a work didn't meet the mark.
What advice would you give people chasing success?
Do not rush. The world will always ask you for more and ask for it faster. But true quality, the kind that lasts for centuries, requires you to be still, to observe, and to give the work the time it deserves.
Johannes, this has been absolutely fascinating. Do you have any closing remarks about the interview or the stories you shared that you would like to share with the listeners before we sign off?
Only that beauty is often found in the smallest, quietest corners of your home. You don't need a grand stage to live a life of meaning. Thank you so much for inviting me, Calvin. It was a delight to step back into the light for a moment.
That was Johannes Vermeer, everyone. We talked about everything from the canals of Delft to the secret of his expensive blue pigments. What a journey through the Dutch Golden Age. And that wraps up another conversation from Beyond the Grave. Thanks for joining us on the Headstones and Microphones podcast. Remember, legends may die, but their stories never do. Please help spread the word by sharing and following the pod.